Next on Sisterhood of the Second Act.
More than 6 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's, and 1 in 3 seniors dies with Alzheimer's or another dementia. The Alzheimer's Association leads the way in Alzheimer's care, support, and research. Brooke Gill is the program manager for the Alzheimer's Association Central and Western Virginia chapter. She's here to talk about the association and its programs. Anna Shore is on a different journey. She and her husband have started a craft brewery in Catawba, Virginia. Some of their own homegrown hops make it into their unique beers. More on this farm-to-keg brewery later. We'll meet both of these women on this edition of Sisterhood of the Second Act, right after this.
Sisterhood of the Second Act is brought to you by Pat Lucas is committed to providing independent financial advice to individuals, families, and small businesses. Contact Pat at 540-798-8104. 540-798-8104. Securities and investment advisory services are offered solely through Equity Services Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC, 4401 Starkey Road, Roanoke, Virginia 24018, 540-989-4600. Looking for your first home or retirement home? Realtor Monica Nicely can help you find it. Whether you're moving in or out of the Roanoke region, call Monica 540-449-2019, 540-449-2019. Alcova Mortgage Loan Officer Jonathan Sweat helps you seal the deal with a loan to suit your needs with great rates and terms. Call Jonathan 540-314-8843, 540-314-8843.
Alcova Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID number 40508, MLSConsumerAccess.org. Terms and conditions apply. All loans subject to credit approval.
Cabby Fashions take you from the boardroom to the beach. Dress for a garden party or a night on the town. Independent cabbie stylist Darlene Marshall will make sure you look your best no matter what the occasion. She'll bring the store to your home for you and your friends or schedule a private consultation. Call Darlene 540-330-6819, 540-330-6819, or find her on Instagram at Dapper Darling, on Facebook at Darlene Marshall Independent Cabbie Stylist.
I'm gonna be an oak tree.
I think I'll be a dogwood tree.
My kids said they be looking for a thorny tree from me.
With Evergreen, you can be a tree. Our biodegradable urn combines your ashes, natural soil additives, and a native tree of your choice. Be a tree and grow for tomorrow.
I want to be a tree.
Learn more at evergreenmemorialtrust.com.
Now from the Fox Radio Roanoke studio, here's Kathy Heberly.
Welcome to Sisterhood of the Second Act. I'm Kathy Heberly. The statistics are jaw-dropping. Alzheimer's kills more than breast cancer and prostate cancer combined. More than 11 million Americans provide unpaid care for people with Alzheimer's or other dementias. The Alzheimer's Association has been leading the charge for more research on the disease and help for its caregivers. Brooke Gill is the program manager for the Central and Western Virginia chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. She joins us now to educate us about Alzheimer's and how the association can help patients and their families. Thank you so much for being with us today, Brooke.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. So first, how did the Alzheimer's Association get its start?
So in the 1980s, the association was formed by a group of caregivers and individuals who wanted to have more support for the disease and research in the area. So the main person was Jerome Stone, and his wife Evelyn had Alzheimer's, and he felt that there wasn't enough out there for support for her and research and information about the disease. So he helped found the association and started giving that support and finding that research, and now here we are today.
That's wonderful. Thank goodness somebody was proactive in this. And one of your missions, continuing on in his work, is education. And you are here to tell us that there are early warning signs of dementia, and please tell us what they are.
So there are 10 warning signs, and you can find those on our website. I won't go through all of them right now, but what you're looking for are things like Maybe they're very, very big on their laundry, making sure that's done every single week. And then all of a sudden you're coming home and your loved one has a pile of laundry in the chair in the corner. Time and space, problem solving becomes an issue. So you're looking for things that are not usual for your loved one. So it's very important that you're talking to friends and family around them that interact with them on a regular basis who are going to notice these signs.
And I've also heard that being overly generous can be a sign of dementia. Is that true?
So dementia and Alzheimer's is individualized to the person. So it could be that if you have somebody who is just normally kind of like not interactive with a lot of people, maybe they're a little antisocial, and then all of a sudden they start inviting people over all the time and giving their things away to people, then you might want to have like a little conversation with them. But it's different for every single person. So maybe it's that the bills are piling up on the counter and your loved one used to be meticulous about their bill paying and their financials, but now they're getting overdue bills. So those are the kind of things you're looking for. So that's not a particular sign, but it could be for your loved one.
Right. So it's things that are different than they normally would, that you're familiar with. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And we are talking with Brooke Gill, Program Manager for the Central and Western Virginia chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. And how can we tell the difference between normal age-related forgetfulness, which many of us have, and forgetfulness that is an onset of dementia?
So you're looking for things that are going to affect their daily life.
Okay.
So going to the end of the driveway and not knowing where they were going, and they'll turn around and come back because they have no idea where they were going. You're looking for things like the misplacing things a lot. Not normal. A normal thing would be you come in and you answer your phone and you forgot that you didn't put your keys on the hook. You put it on the kitchen table. And 5 or 10 minutes later, you go, oh, yeah, I answered the phone when I got home. They're on the table. For someone who might be showing signs, it may be that they put them in a weird place like the refrigerator.
Okay.
Or,
I've heard that.
Yeah, or they can't find them at all. So those kind of things.
That makes us to be aware, even for ourselves. I think sometimes, you start to question yourself. So these are good tips for us. And can Alzheimer's be diagnosed? And if so, how do we do that?
So with diagnosis, you're going to go to your primary care physicians where you should start. And usually what they do is a cognitive test in their office. So they will ask you to do things like draw a clock or remember 4 things, and then ask you more questions and then ask you to tell them the 4 things you remembered. There's all kinds of different versions of these cognitive tests, but it's kind of the baseline. Actually, they should be doing this once you hit 65 plus. They should be doing this in your regular checkup every year. And so if they're not, you need to be talking to your primary care physician because that gives them a baseline to test you. But from there, usually they'll refer you to some kind of specialist like a neurologist or a gerontologist or something in that realm. So you can move forward with more testing like brain imaging or PET scans or things like that.
So why is early diagnosis of dementia so important?
There's a couple of main reasons why it's important. First of all, the earlier we can catch it, the quicker we can put you on treatment. And that can improve the quality of the life of the loved one. And, I like to say that this Alzheimer's or dementia, once you get diagnosed, is a journey, but there is an end to it. But the quality of that journey depends on early intervention, the medications and treatments that we can do in the process. So when we're talking about early intervention, the other piece of that is planning. For the caregiver side of things, I just did a program this morning on managing money for caregivers, and part of that is having your person participate in the planning of their journey. And it's very important that they have their wishes heard and that you can implement the wishes. So there's not that caregiver guilt that comes along with that. And that person knows that you're going to carry out their wishes and how they would like their journey to continue. And
if I'm sure the family will do as much as possible, but what if they insist on continuing to live in their home and it's no longer safe? Are there things available to the family?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So we have several different pieces of information on our website that talk about having these conversations with your loved one. They're difficult conversations,
Sure.
and sometimes you have to have more than one conversation depending on where they're at. Some people don't accept the diagnosis, and it takes them a while to get there, and sometimes they don't ever get there. But I think it's important to even have the conversations, even if they don't want to participate. And they end up
That makes
not.
a lot of sense.
You still did your due diligence as their loved one and asked them.
Right.
And then you have to move forward and say, I'm going to do the best I can for the person that I love, knowing them and who they are.
That makes so much sense. And we are talking with Brooke Gill, Program Manager for the Central and Western Virginia chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. And we have researchers, or what have researchers found are some of the causes of Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia, just to kind of help educate us.
So there's no definitive cause. There is some genetic piece. It's about 5%.
Oh,
For
okay.
the genetic piece of
All
things.
right.
There can be certain dementias can be diagnosed, like brain injuries can cause things like frontal temporal dementia.
Okay.
But there's no certain diagnosis. Vascular dementia is connected to your heart health. So, they're not sure what all causes dementia. They just know that it's a difference in how your brain starts functioning.
That makes sense. Are there new drugs in the works to treat Alzheimer's? Anything coming down?
There is a new one that the FDA just kind of pushed through, and I won't say pushed because they did vet it very well, obviously, but it's one that kind of got a quick review because it showed so much promise.
Oh, wonderful.
And I'm going to try to pronounce this as best I can because they're so difficult. So it's aducanumab.
Okay.
And this
Wonder
one
what
is
they
very
came with that
I
from.
know, right? And it's very promising because it's the first one to address underlying biology of Alzheimer's disease.
That's very interesting that that's the approach that they're taking. And also you can't have the disease if you can pronounce.
Exactly.
That's a good test. So what services does the Alzheimer's Association offer families of people with Alzheimer's?
There's a lot of services that we offer. The one I like to tout first is always our 24/7, 365 days helpline.
Excellent.
So as a caregiver, you may be up at 3 o'clock in the morning because that's the only time you have to yourself. Mm-hmm. And if you need help making plans, talking about legal help, or maybe mom is trying to wander and you can't get her calmed back down, you can call our helpline and a master level clinician will be on the other side of that line whenever you call to help walk you through whatever you need help with.
24 hours a day. That is fantastic. So the last question I have is, how can people get involved or volunteer?
Absolutely. We have a couple different volunteer opportunities. We have our walk side, which and our longest day side, which people volunteer to help us fundraise for the research, and the care and support side that I provide to the community. And then on the care and support side, we have volunteers that are actually facilitating our support groups. They're going out in the community and providing free education programs about the disease, and they're representing us at things like health fairs and businesses and workplaces to educate them on the disease as well.
So we're making this a more, what do I want to say, informed public maybe to help, so that if even a caregiver has to also work, maybe there's more understanding amongst the other employees and things like that. It'd be very helpful to have that kind of support.
Absolutely. Awareness and education is one of our top priorities because even if you think that Alzheimer's does not affect you, everyone with a brain can get Alzheimer's.
And you may be working with somebody that's dealing with it, so it's very helpful. So thank you so much for being with us today, Brooke.
Sure.
It was very informative. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. And we will have the Alzheimer's Association's contact information in our show notes at sisterhoodofthesecondAct.com. And when we come back, the story behind a farm to keg brewery in the mountains of Virginia. Sisterhood of the Second Act continues after this.
Looking for your first home or retirement home? Realtor Monica Nicely can help you find it. Whether you're moving in or out of the Roanoke region, call Monica 540-449-2019, 540-449-2019. Alcova Mortgage Loan Officer Jonathan Sweat helps you seal the deal with the loan to suit your needs with great rates and terms. Call Jonathan 540-314-8843, 540-314-8843.
Alcova Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID number 40508, MLSConsumerAccess.org. Terms and conditions apply. All loans subject to credit approval.
Pat Lucas is committed to providing independent financial advice to help women build wealth and security. Call Pat at 540-798-8104, 540-798-8104. Securities and investment advisory services are offered solely through Equity Services Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC, 4401 Starkey Road, Roanoke, Virginia 24018, 540-989-4600.
I'm going to be an oak tree.
I think I'll be a dogwood tree.
My kids say they be looking for a thorny tree from me.
With Evergreen, you can be a tree. Our biodegradable urn combines your ashes, natural soil additives, and a native tree of your choice. Be a tree and grow for tomorrow.
I want to be a tree.
Learn more at evergreenmemorialtrust.com.
Once again from the Fox Radio Roanoke studio, here's Kathy Heberly.
Welcome back to Sisterhood of the Second Act. I'm Kathy Heberly. Anna and Ed Shore spent years searching for the perfect property to build their brewery. They found it in Catawba. They spent 2 years building the small batch brewery and creating the unique atmosphere of Solstice Farm Brewery. Anna Shore joins us now to tell us their story. And thank you for being here, Anna.
I'm glad to be here.
Why did you choose this part of Virginia to build your brewery?
Well, we fell in love with the Blue Ridge. Both my husband and I went to Virginia Tech, and even before I met him, I remember driving in and just knowing it was the right thing to do, was to go to Virginia Tech, and the environment was just alluring and captivating. And so then, of course, I did fall in love, and we got married, and from then we always looked to find property.
So it was always in the back of your mind?
Always 30 some years ago, always looking. We have many real estate agents who can vouch for this, of looking and looking and looking. And my children were small when we started, and now they're in their 30s.
So, but you did say that there wasn't a lot of land coming available, so you had to kind of wait.
We did, had to wait it out. Okay. You know, it is a rural community, and farming is part of the community.
Okay. So what is the story behind the name Solstice Farm Brewery?
Well, my husband and I, when we started brewing, had a dream of doing this as our second act.
Okay, excellent.
And part of that was that we felt that it would be nice to approach brewing in a little bit more environmentally conscious way. Okay. Brewing uses a lot of water, which Virginia has plenty of. However, it also uses some power to heat, and we thought, wouldn't it be wonderful, my husband's a mechanical engineer, if he could design so that we could preheat with solar and do some other things. So
you're incorporating the sun into your...
Right. So
oh my goodness.
The goal definitely is, we're not there yet, but ultimately that will be the goal, is to bring sunshine into the beer.
That sounds wonderful in many ways. So, yes, and you just mentioned you are environmentally conscious. So what green practices have you already incorporated into your business?
Most of the conversion of the building into our tasting room, we reused things on the property already. So there's some beautiful old wood, metal that was part of the original farmhouse on the property is used. Our hop vines actually grow up some metal trusses that were found on the property. So we found even creative ways to use things that were already there that frequently would find their way into a dump of some sort, or
So it sounds
waste
artistic
stream.
as well,
So
actually.
we have tried to make it interesting and fun. We don't add herbicides or anything.
Oh, that's
so
nice to know.
we have a beautiful butterfly garden.
Other attractions
Other
to
attractions, so-
attract your guests.
So, really trying to build it into nature as opposed to over nature.
It sounds wonderful. And we are talking with Anna Shore, co-owner of Solstice Farm Brewery. And as we mentioned, you are building this business with your husband. What are your coordinating roles? Or do they overlap, or are they individual?
I think there's some overlap, obviously,
Okay.
but for efficiency, there's plenty of things that I do that he doesn't, and vice versa. I come from the world of biochemistry, and therefore I do most of the yeast propagation. I worry about the water chemistry for the beer. He comes from a world of mechanical engineering, so he worries about the more traditional parts of the brewing process, the boiling, the pumping, the cooling.
Do you bottle, or is it only on tap?
We only have it on tap
Okay.
at this point, but we are towards the end of our season. In the fall, we will offer a specialty set of beers called the Nectar of the Gods series, and those will be bottled.
Okay, so something else to look forward to here. You also grow hops, and why did you decide to do that?
Well, Virginia, many people don't realize, used to be the #1 hop growing region of the United States.
I did not know that.
Prohibition came, and farmers had to get creative and move on into other areas. So after Prohibition fell, other regions had picked it up, and Virginia was no longer one of those main regions. So we already know that the hops do grow here. In addition to the native hops, propagating the other varietals that are better for beer, a little bit more productive, are certainly something that we like to
Cultivate? Yes, that sounds really nice. How long does it take to grow hops? We have no idea here.
Well, hops are perennial, and so they come back every year, and they need to be divided. They grow very quickly. Between the months of March, they emerge, and right now we are verging on the time when we're going to have to pick. And then they are typically dried or frozen, and then they are used in the beer after that. So,
So not fresh.
So no, we don't use it typically fresh. You can, but we try to accumulate enough that we can go ahead and put it in a beer. One of the beers we have on tap right now uses last year's hops because we did get the hops growing before we could actually open the brewery. So
That sounds wonderful. And could you just briefly tell us what they look like? I don't even know. Does it resemble wheat or oats or another grain, or is it totally different?
It's a vine.
Oh, okay.
And
So it's a vine. I didn't know that.
They grow as tall as 20 feet high. They get trained, and so when they first emerge, you have to cut back all but the strongest vines, and they curve up
Will you
all
be
the way up.
offering tours later on?
Oh,
probably.
Yeah, it's lovely to come out, and even you can sit in our hop area and enjoy the environment. But they form what are known as cones. They really are more like green flowers that look like little, pine cones almost, but they are softer and they are green, and it's what produces the flavor for beer. The hop flavor is actually the pollen.
Okay.
So the oils of the pollen are what are
No wonder a biochemist is interested in all of these aspects. It sounds really fascinating. And once they're harvested, what is the process to get them into the beer?
Well, as I was saying, so you pick them.
Right. Dry them?
You can dry them. Great crossword term. Oast is the device used to dry hops.
Oh.
And that's what's traditionally done, is you dry them and then you add them at the end of the boiling process, right before the yeast is added.
Oh.
Hops contribute a bitterness to the beer, but it's also a protective preservative. And so before we knew about pasteurization and other things, you know, historically, hops were found to protect your water.
Okay, so it does have a bit of a I don't know if you'd say medicinal or at least antiseptic or whatever type of property to it. So not only does it add the flavor, it also adds the protection. So it's a good thing to add.
It is.
All right. We are talking with Anna Shore, co-owner of Solstice Farm Brewery. And what types of beer do you have on tap?
Well, we have rotating offerings. Right now we have 6 different types of beer along with a hard seltzer. At this time we have a light American lager, we have a Saison, a Hefeweizen, a cream ale, a Northwestern IPA, as well as a pale ale. We are bringing on this next weekend something called a Forager wheat ale, which is our berries from our farm are actually incorporated into the beer. So kind of a berry cobbler beer
Sounds
idea.
delicious.
So we're hoping that one turns out beautifully. But as fall comes, we are introducing more darker beers, more malty beers, because you know they lend themselves to
that time of year,
wonderful weather.
And are people allowed to bring their own snacks in onto the property so that while they're tasting, they may enjoy sensibly?
Yes. So we do have some snacks, but certainly we encourage people to bring a picnic, lunch or dinner. Additional things are fine as long as they come to partake in our beer.
Yes.
And we also do offer
I was going to say, what other items do sell? You can share.
Yeah, so we do offer popcorn and some
light snacks,
and we approach seltzer a little bit differently than many places. You can add the flavor that you wish from a list of about 20 different flavors, and we offer that same opportunity to anyone who wants club soda with a flavor as well, and that's been a great
for the
hit.
Designated driver.
For
that
the
sounds
designated
wonderful.
drivers,
What a treat!
And for children, and maybe those that don't really like beer.
So just tell us, we're wrapping up. When are you open?
We are open Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays. Thursdays and Fridays, 3 to 8. Saturdays, 1 to 8.
Okay.
And Sundays, 1 to 5.
1 to 5.
Right.
Okay. And we will have, well, first, thank you for being here today. It sounds really interesting and a nice place to visit for us.
It's wonderful. I hope everyone can come out and enjoy it as well.
I'm sure we will. We will have Solstice Farm Brewery's contact information in our show notes at sisterhoodofthesecond-act.com. And we'll be back to wrap up the show after this.
Kathy's wardrobe provided by cabbie stylist Darlene Marshall. See the styles in our show notes at sisterhoodofthesecond-act.com.
I want to thank Brooke Gill and Anna Shore for joining us today. From Brooke, we learned how the Alzheimer'S Association will help caregivers find the resources they need. From Anna, we learned how you can use your first act to enhance your second. I'm Kathy Heberly. Join us next week for another edition of Sisterhood of the Second Act.